I did a review on the Monument Grill 6-burner gas grill, and it was definitely love at first sight. I really thought that the grill was a great value and it was definitely hitting above its weight class. But now that the honeymoon phase is over, how is the grill holding up? And do I still recommend it? Let's dive in. Okay, so the short answer is yes, I still recommend this grill. And yes, I do still think it's a great value, but there are some pros and cons. And if you are interested in hearing those pros and cons, then stick around. To give you an idea how much I like this grill, the initial grill was offered to me by the company in exchange for an honest review. And since then, the company has sponsored several giveaways. Actually, they're sponsoring one right now, a current giveaway. And the winner of that giveaway will be announced later in the video, so stick around for that. So to give you an idea of how much I like this grill, they have been offering to send me their newer models to give an honest review on those as well. But I don't currently have the space. So that would mean that I would have to sell or give away this grill, this 6-burner grill. And I'm just not gonna do that. Okay, now let's talk about all the pros and cons of the Monument Grill's 6-burner gas grill. So I've actually kind of kept a log over the last 6 months or so, sort of a journal to keep track of the things that I liked and didn't like. Because like I said in the beginning, I really like this grill, but I want to be honest and try to really think of pros and cons. So let's start off with the pros. And the first thing that I have on my list is this thing's a beast. It's really powerful. Truly consider if you need all this much grill. And that's something that you have to decide for yourself. I personally needed it, so I went with the 6-burner version. But it can do everything that you ask of it. So if that's something that you're considering, if you're gonna be cooking and grilling for large parties or even catering, this is the right grill for you, the 6-burner version. The next thing on my list that I really wanna mention is this thing truly does hit above its weight class. It's loaded with features. Oftentimes at this price point, you're not gonna find some of these features. For example, they give you both a side burner and a sear zone. And that's kind of unheard of. And likewise, there's little things that they include like the roll-out tray to put your propane in. That's a really neat feature. Not having to break your back and squat down every time to put in the propane tank and kind of, fiddle with the inside of the gas grill. You can just pull out the tray, you have your roll-out tray, you put in your propane tank and push it back. And then you also get some neat features like the window. So things like that. You really are getting a lot of value for your money. The next pro is actually dedicated to that side sear zone. I love this side sear zone. I use it a lot, and actually I found myself using it quite often for sous vide. I'll sous vide inside, take it out, slap it on this side sear zone, and sear my sous vide food in a matter of minutes. Now, it's not all pros and cons about the side sear zone. I really want to mention that it's powerful. A lot of people have this misconception of, when I'm searing, I need full power, let me turn it up all the way, and that should, get me a perfect sear. And although that can be true, you have to be Johnny on the spot. So this thing is powerful and you can easily burn your food. The grate and the heat source, there's not a lot of room there. And that's actually honestly a good thing. When you're searing, you want to make sure you're as close as you possibly could be to the heat source. But if you turn it up full blast and you're not mindful, you can burn your food. If I'm being honest, most of the time I have the dial at medium, and that takes care of all of my searing needs. Now going over to the other side, I really love that side burner. As you guys know, I'm a gas stove type of guy, and that thing is powerful. It's powerful enough for me to actually do some of my cooking videos out here. So I love having that versatility. I thought about buying a dedicated gas stove for outdoor videos, but because the Monument Grill has such a great side burner, I can do all of my videos out here, no problem. So I love that side burner. I use it all the time. I'll be sauteing some vegetables and grilling up a steak or whatever. So this entire system is versatile. You can grill, use the side burner, come over here and sear your steak. You really do have a nice compact package. Now my next pro is kind of related to this gas grill, specifically the 6-burner. You have a ton of cooking space. I can cook a ton of food on here. I can cook an endless amount of burgers and hot dogs if I'm going to the park and there's a large party. I did that recently for our baby's gender reveal. And then likewise, you can cook a steak, any steak that you want. You can do a roast, you can do a brisket if you want. You have a lot of space. So I primarily use this grill, if I know I have a large party I have to cater to, this is a perfect grill to do that because the space is just so huge. And the last thing, the last pro is, this thing's really attractive. It's a great looking propane gas grill. The LED knobs are just a really cool feature. And when I light this thing up at night, it just kind of takes over, takes the stage. Everyone that has seen me using this grill is just really intrigued. They come over, they're like, wow, this thing lights up, what's going on here? You have a window. It's a really nice looking grill. And if that's something that's important to you, then it's a great grill to complement that. Okay, now let's move on to the cons. I listed 6 pros, so I wanted to make sure I had 6 cons or more. And the first one is, this thing is a gas guzzler. You are going to go through propane tanks, and I really mean that. With 6 burner gas grills, that's just inherent. The more burners that you add, the more fuel you're going to use. I highly recommend you guys invest in a gas gauge or propane gas gauge. I think it's like 15 bucks, maybe 20 bucks. You can find them on Amazon or Home Depot. But because this grill uses up so much gas, it's so powerful, you really got to keep your eye on the gauge. I can't tell you, there's been plenty of times when I thought I had some gas. I didn't really look at the gauge, and then between a cook, before I knew it, I was all out. But again, that goes back to, do you actually need a 6 burner gas grill, or are you okay with the 4 burner? Now, this is another con, and it's related to the 6 burner, but I wanted to mention this. If you're thinking about buying the 6 burner to be future-proof, consider that really carefully. I mean, I understand the need to future-proof, but if you think you're gonna get away with only having 2 burners or maybe 3 burners at a time, or even 4 burners, and that's gonna be okay, not necessarily. Because the next con is, this thing takes a while to get up to temperature if you're not using all of the 6 burners. And that makes sense. You have a lot of grilling space. If you're not really careful about the sequence that you turn on the gas burners, or which gas burners you need to turn on in order to get up to temperature, it can take a while. You can have uneven heating. I mean, you really need to take advantage of almost all 6 burners. I mean, not necessarily, but you'll need to have most of them on, or you're gonna have a lot of dead spots, even if they're on very, very low. It's a lot of cooking space. So that's another con to having all that cooking space but not needing it. And that's my next con, actually. It has hot zones and it has dead zones. And that's inherent with every grill out there. Now, some grills are better at it than others. I think this one's pretty average. I don't think it's great, and I don't think it's horrible. And you need to get to know this grill, because some of the hot zones are hot and some of the dead zones are ice cold or dead. So you need to learn how to adjust your burners to kind of compensate for that. And that's the beauty of gas grills. You can compensate, you just need to figure out how. Now, my next con is a big one, but you need to keep this grill clean. It does not like to be dirty. You will have a grease fire. I've had several. And then once you do have a grease fire, the window's affected, and we'll get to that in a second, but keep this gas grill clean. I really use it and abuse it, so I need to make sure it's clean almost like every other use. And obviously, if you've ever owned a gas grill, the flavorizers can also get really dirty and get a lot of grease. So another thing to consider, and that's again inherent to the 6 burner version, but I think all gas grills are the same. I have to keep my eye on this grill. It tends to flare up, it tends to have grease fires. I don't feel like I can leave it alone for too long. With my charcoal grill, I can set it, forget it. I know that if there is a grease fire, it's very unlikely, and I can put it out very quickly. So you gotta clean all gas grills, and that's really inherent to all gas grills, but this one's no different. Okay, now let's talk about this cool viewing window. It's both pros and cons. I love it, and it works fantastic, and it's great to be able to actually see your food and all that, but it does get dirty. And if you have a grease fire, forget it. All that carbon buildup, you're not gonna see anything through that viewing window. And I kept mine purposely dirty because I wanted to make a point, but yeah, there's pros and there's cons. It's wonderful, but it does get dirty, and when it does, it's almost useless. You can't see through it. But the pro to that is the company has made it really easy to remove it and clean it. You can very easily remove it, use your favorite, degreaser or barkeeper's friend or even vinegar or whatever, and you can easily clean the window. And likewise, the window is replaceable. The company offers a replaceable window, I think at 25 bucks or something like that, so you can buy another one. Now, obviously, you don't want to keep buying one every month. It will add up, but it's really not that big of a deal. It's easy to remove and clean and then put back together, but it's something I definitely wanted to mention because it was something that I fell in love with originally when I got this grill. Okay, now the last thing that I want to mention is in regards to the storage. The storage is actually fine. You get a lot of storage space, and I put a lot of things in there, and I love having that storage space. What I do have an issue with is the doors. This barbecue grill has a lot of flex. It tends to flex a lot, and if you're not on even ground, like currently I'm not, it will flex a lot when you move it, and then the doors will get hung up, they'll be misaligned, and it's really hard to open them or close them, or they're super loose and they're just randomly swinging out and they're hitting you in the knee or hitting you in the leg. And likewise, the wheels are really tiny, they're not sufficient to be really, dragging this thing around. So that's something that I think I mentioned in my first review, but now I've, kind of noticed it a lot. I don't like moving this grill. I like setting it in one place and just forgetting about it. But due to the nature of filming, sometimes I want to move it. I want to get better lighting, or I want to move away from all this sound that I'm sure you're hearing right now. The magnet that holds the doors in place is weak, and that's something that I also mentioned in the original video. And because the grill has a lot of flex, it's not really designed to be moved around very much. You're going to notice that the doors are going to get hung up a lot, or they're just going to swing out and hit you in the knee.
All right, and now it's time to announce the winner of the giveaway. Silent Gamer, you are the winner of the Monument Grill's 4-burner gas grill. Congratulations on winning the barbecue grill, and thank you for your support.
So in my original review, I was quoted saying that this is the Cadillac of gas grills, and that's still true for this price point. And I think most of the cons that I listed in this video are specific to me personally and what I need out of this grill. You guys have to understand that I cook a lot, and this thing has been abused. It gets dirty very quickly. I really think it's almost too powerful for most folks, the 6-burner version. So I really advise you to consider the 4-burner model unless you're like me and you really need that 6-burner power. Also, I'm inherently a charcoal grill guy, and that has not changed. But where this grill works for me so well is the convenience of using a gas grill and how much food I can cook all at once. This thing's a beast, there's no question about that. And I'm planning on doing a beginner's guide to gas grills. I did one for charcoal grills and it was very popular. So look for that video real soon. It's gonna be very similar to the charcoal grill video. Until then, I really hope you found this video informative. Take care, everybody.